Welcome back to part 2 of that National Tremo-Tone restoration. We've got some obstacles standing in the way of a good service, and we're going to knock those right away. Not away, but we're going to get them out of the way. You know what I'm talking about. Tell your mom, tell your friends this is happening. You know what's up. Like and subscribe, the whole thing. Bye. Okay, so I have the green light to go ahead and change this power cord to a proper grounded unit, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But there's a challenge. So as you can see, the little retaining nuts for the chassis, there's 4 of them. However, 2 of them are hidden behind this little strut or bracket. And after careful inspection, I can see that I'm going to have to remove the bracket, so that nut goes. Then there's a nut here underneath that connects the lower half of that bracket to the chassis. And once this little bar is removed, I'll be able to put the driver right on top and address it directly. And I cleaned as much of this off as I could, but I'm hoping this is not black mold. Ooh, that would be creepy. All right, we're just gonna take the shot that we can take regardless of whether or not the garbage company's outside. So, grab a chopstick real quick. One of sufficient contrast. Now you can see I removed the hardware from there. You cannot see that I removed it from this side as well, so we should be able to just reach our hands in there and pull out the bracket. See that? It's a little bit right there. And then I now have access to that last remaining nut. And these are different sizes, so you want to make sure you keep them organized. I do miss making these videos. It's been so busy, but it's been good. It's funny, things like holidays and vacations and breaks used to be relaxing, but now that I'm a parent, they've become the most hectic times of life. And of course it's worth it, of course. But there's a learning curve here that I need to adapt to. And I will. And I just think I'm so fortunate that I have the opportunity to work at something that I truly love. And by the way, there's a little bundle of wires here. They're stapled to the side of the cabinet. So I'm gonna have to remove that staple, unfortunately. And I'll probably replace it with a proper, and that's a different size as well. All right. So I'll use a proper cord clamp. So funny how everything's a different size. All right. I'm just wondering if this is, these little speckles are like, is it fecal matter from an animal? Or am I looking at mold? Or is it a combination of the two? That's where my mind is. And there's that little staple, which I can put back in place, and I will. Now I can remove the chassis. All right. The danger with working on these old amps from the 40s, actually from the 30s through the 50s, mainly lies in the fragility of the terminals on the tube sockets and elsewhere. So you're not going to want to use an extraction technique that involves a mechanical pump, something that has a recoil. So your best friend is going to be this solder wick here. And that's what you're going to use to really do a good job of scrubbing these out. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a pin transplant in one of these sockets or worse. And you just want to disturb as little of the original wiring as you can. And then here you can see the tech who did this. These are old like 715P type polypropylene caps. They're the orange drops. These are very high quality caps. Still, the rating of this cap in construction is not sufficient for this particular task, where a failure would lead to a short, where high voltage would be present on the chassis and then on the player's instrument. So you're looking at a lightning strike probability of having a fatal type of an accident should this thing short out. But since this will be grounded, it's best just to remove this from the picture altogether. And this spot here you see in the center of the shot is a strain relief for this is essentially lamp cord, this power cord here. And it's pretty common to see these on old appliances as well from the decade. What we're going to be doing is removing this like so and replacing it, because the diameter is not sufficient for the thicker diameter of the power cord that will be here. We're going to replace that with a proper strain relief, and then you'll get the old parts back in a baggie. All right, so I've added just a touch of heat shrink tubing, and then the type I have has adhesive along the inner diameter. And I'm using this to create a little more resistance from slipping, since there's not going to be a complementary chassis strain relief bit added or a cord clamp. So this will save the day. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Take a look. Okay, so I'm going to place the joint here. And we'll get busy. So that's about all you need. All right, now I'm ready to prepare the leads here. All right. We're gonna tin that when we're ready. Then we'll have the primary wiring here. And now, since I've removed the old school standard wiring from the fuse and the switch, I'm going to need to create a jumper that will bridge one of the fuse terminals over to the switch. We'll do that momentarily. Well, this wire stripper's been with me for a long time. I'm about ready for a new one. It's not really doing much of a job these days. That's all right. So let's get these guys ready. I think that the old Hakko, I think it's a 602 that I'm using for the chassis work. I think she is ready. Let's get a better angle here, so we don't develop a bit of a drip. And normally I'd be working on the stand or from the stand, but it's not available at the moment. And this is certainly stable enough to do the job. Okay. apologies. It's a 601 FX. Quite handy. So let me get this tinned up. This will probably have to be off camera unless I can get it in the shot for you guys, but it will not be focused, I imagine. If you want to see how to do this, this is not the appropriate iron for this, but if you're hot and fast, it can do the job. Otherwise, you're gonna end up shrinking the jacket, and you'll end up with more exposed lead than you want. All right, so let's get a better angle here. Look how fast this iron does the job on a chassis. It's ridiculous. And that is just perfect. It's just beautiful. So let me switch hands. Sorry, I'm working under the camera. That's that. It's as simple as that. It's all you need. It's all you need. So I'm gonna cool this off and re-tin the tip. That's what you want to do. Keep everything nice. I'll bring it down there. And that's all you need. Just absolutely rugged joint, not going anywhere. That's it. So let me switch her around. We'll get these terminals prepped for the new wiring. Already awesome. I've already cleaned off the old solder. Just get the old flux off. The original tech from the factory went a little ape shit with the solder. That's okay. Better too much than too little. So when you're joining wires together, I've already braided these together here. And you have a short run between a chassis or another item and your heat shrink. If you're too close, you know the heat shrink will start shrinking before you get to slide it up over the joint. So what I do is on the heat shrink side, I'll take a clamp or something to act as a heat sink. And then that will absorb the heat and stop it from making its way over there to the heat shrink. And that's it. And this is the neutral wiring on the primary. And yeah, and these hemostats are nice and hot, and the wire behind it is nice and cold. And sometimes I just help it along a little bit with a little bit of breath. So that's it. All right. There you go. See? Nice. This is why we have vacuums. All right, so this concludes the service on this 1958 National Tremo-Tone. So got to put back together, and that's a wrap.